Hey guys, welcome to the first Sky Nations sort of video update. I'm probably going to do one of these with each major update. Cover some of like the bigger features that I've added. I'm probably not going to cover the bug fixes and small things like that. They'll be in the changelog if you want to check them out. I'll probably write some text as well. So let's get down to it. One of the first things you're going to notice when you log in with the update is that some of the textures have changed. This is the work of a lovely artist called Liz, and she's been updating a lot of the old textures that have still been the ones that they were sort of prototyped as a long time ago. So one of the ones you'll be seeing a lot is the steering wheel, and that's been updated. It has lovely emissive textures. So if I turn it to night, it's not night, it's 12 in the day. If I turn it to night, you can see that it's lit up. This makes it a bit more readable by players, both attackers and people trying to run to like a steering wheel and things like that. And it also solves one of the issues where you can't really tell which way a steering wheel is put down, because obviously ships. Those of you who play Sky Nations, you'll know that ships only have sort of one forward. So this little control panel here will always be facing the back. So it's an extra way to sort of tell which way the ship is facing, and that becomes quite useful when you're like creating your first ship platform. And sometimes, especially for new players, they don't tend to know which way around it is. It's sort of like a subtle inference of that. So there's a couple of more textures that she's been doing. If we look here, if we turn it to day, so we can see it a little bit better. You see that the workbench has been updated. It now looks a bit more like a workbench rather than a sort of like a wooden block with a metal top on it, which is great. Hard glass has been changed a little bit. This both in the energy well and the actual hard glass block. What I'll do is I'll spawn in some of the other changes, like this. So ice is another one that's been updated, and I think it looks a lot better than the original one. The other one was quite garish. This is really nice, really subtle, and it just gives it like it fits much better with the rest of the art in the game now, which it was very sort of over the top before. It was really bad. Let's check my list to see what else was updated. Stone brick has been updated, and all the various colours of that. So redstone brick, spawn that in, and whitestone brick. Is it whitestone brick? I don't even know. There we go. So whitestone brick as well, that's been updated. The lanterns have also been updated. Those were like another texture that sort of stayed as their original prototype for a very long time, but finally an extra pair of hands have been updated and they look great. If I just plop a yellow one down there and plop a blue one here and then just turn it to night so you can see a little bit better. Again, they glow like the original ones. It looks great. If we turn on blue, we can see it even a bit more clearly, I guess. You can sort of see it in the background there. It sort of lights up a bit more. And I think that's it. Oh, also the grass, the wavy grass has been updated. It's a bit less in your face now. It looks great. And normal glass as well. So we're going to some of those. Take it down a bit. It has a bit more volume to it with these like edges, and it's a really good job. So what else have I added in this update? I guess the big thing in this update is sort of the framework for NPCs. So don't mind me just teleporting around. This is sort of my test server where I work on like everything. So it's a bit of a mess. It's sort of based on various maps from the official server. Oh, also Molten Rock has been updated. Is the other thing, because that was again another quite garish texture that I did originally. So NPCs, I spent most of the sort of the last 2 weeks, which is the update period, is working on NPCs and like coding them, but also like working out a way to get them into the game, how to make them, how to make their models, how to animate them, how to bring them into the game in a way that I can do without like a really steep learning curve. And I think a lot of that's sort of sorted now. All those sort of like almost logistical problems and skill problems are all, and learning sort of curves are sort of sorted now. So give us rise to like the first NPC, which is a fairly simple NPC in itself, but it's something that adds sort of a lot of life to the world. In a voxel world, you have everything is very static, so adding something that moves just passively while you're sort of exploring is great. I can't. They will spawn. So the NPCs are actually called dive gulls, and they're sort of like Sky Nation's version of seagulls, right? I was going to say there's one, but there's a shooting star. So they spawn ambulantly in the world. There's a limit of about 10 or 20 per player. So, and then that'll be upped a little bit as we get more different NPCs. But at the moment, there's about 10 to 20 per player on a server. So there'll be some around me at the moment that may be a little bit hard to spot unless I run into them. So what they do is they sort of find a perch, and then if they're there for a long time, they'll fly around and they do some other kind of cool behaviours, and I'll leave those for you to discover. But you should see them on your travels where you're flying. There's one at the moment, just flying straight over us. So he's changed his mind about coming over here. God damn it, come back here. So like they're one of those things where it adds a lot to the world, and the way I've built them is that they're in like a voxely style, like the rest of the game. Like you make the items using a program called Cubicle, which is just a great program. I can actually spawn one on top of me somewhere. There he is. If I just land here and make it day again. There we go. You see it in a bit more detail. So they're voxely as well, which helps them fit a bit more into the world. I sort of experimented with the various art styles for these sort of things, and like having rounded shapes and stuff. Maybe low polygon art sort of worked, but on the whole, I think the voxel sort of fits better. It's something that I can actually create rather than having to get other people to work on it, which isn't always a great idea, and also obviously costs money. So I think they look great, and they've started animating them. Sort of built a pipeline for that, and that was, as I said earlier, a bit of the hard part for that. And I think I've got that. So more NPCs to come after this update. They should be really cool. They should add a bunch of things. Let's spawn a bunch. Don't mind my sort of debug commands. So the other thing I wanted to sort of quickly cover is that when you get damaged now, you have like a 5-second boon that stops you from placing blocks, and that's sort of to get rid of the whole problem of players sort of falling onto defense guns and then just putting blocks over them. So obviously, where you're falling, you're going to get shot at for the most part, and that's going to stop you from placing a block. And it also stops situations where you sort of escaping someone's attacking you with melee or a shotgun or whatever, and you're just like going backwards, building a wall. And that's just, I don't know why that hasn't loaded up. There we go. So you're going backwards and you're building a wall, and that just creates like a really kind of annoying situation for both players. I mean, no one's going to enjoy chasing someone who's just putting things behind them. So as long as you maintain the damage, that can't happen. So what I'll do is I'll just sort of fly up here, I'll jump off, and I'll sort of show you that in action. So if you watch the top, oh wait, I'm in so you see the top there, you see I can't actually, I'm trying to click and place things, but I can't, and that's because of that little boon with the I'll just drop again, the little boon with the cross over the block, and that just means you can't place for 5 seconds. I might change the 5 seconds and step it up a bit. I might put it down, depends on how it plays out, and that's something I'll watch. This is the sort of thing where it just needs a bit of fine tuning in a live sort of play environment. So one of the last things I sort of wanted to talk about is that I'm going to change the update schedule. Like previously, we've gone like 2 weeks for the most part. Every 2 weeks there's an update, and that's like 10 working days. So it doesn't turn out to be very much when you're actually working that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add another week to that. So every 3 weeks there'll be like an update, and what that means is that there'll obviously be more in one update, especially with the new pipeline of getting NPCs, and making NPCs takes quite a long time. It's the sort of thing where you like sort of build, especially aesthetically, like you're building how they look, and it takes a lot of experimentation to get something you'd like. And if you're like working to a really like sharp deadline, you can't really spend like 2 or 3 days working on it, whereas if I got 3 weeks, it's a bit less havocy. It's probably the best word to describe it. So we're going to move up to 3 weeks, and I'm going to carry on like posting things on my Twitter, like screenshots and stuff, but I'm not going to I think the problem was before that we had a lot of like, information about the next update spread around everywhere. Like people would ask me in the chat and stuff in the game, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk about it in the game at all. And what I'll do is this video like this will probably be released before the updates. In the future, this one's going to be released with the update, and I'll talk about the things I've added in that. So that way we've got like one place to. You only have to look in one place to know what's going to be in the update and what's changed and what's interesting about that. And also it means like for other like websites and news sites, they've got an easier way of finding information about the game. Don't worry about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the game. I hope you enjoy the update. Peace out.